You're still watching where it's now International Women's Day. March 8th, we've all waited for this day, is a global day celebrating the historical, cultural, and political advancement of women's achievements, right? The day is also observed in support of taking action against gender inequality around the world. It is a call to a gender equal world, free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination, and one that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive, while differences are valued and celebrated. Now, this is a day to appreciate women's effort. Imagine a gender equal world. A world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. A world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. A world where differences is valued and celebrated. Together, we forge women's equality. Collectively, we all can. Now, the theme for this year is to break the bias. So that's the slogan. The sign. We're supposed to do the break the bias. Yes. If we break can shut. In fact, my own is shatter it. But do we know? I mean, yesterday we had a fantastic conversation. Utimani and I talked about some biases that a lot of women face. Maybe it would be nice to also hear the kind of bias that you face, personally, or what you know about some women, what they face. Let me start with you, Milola. What bias do you think women are facing, or what have you faced, in terms of your gender and the common bias that is just around you?
Well, as a woman who believes that I am more than my skin, I'm more than my color, I'm more than my gender. For me, I look at the totality of my person, and part of what I see, based on my understanding of the spiritual path, is in my last reincarnation, I must have been a man. The reason for that is that my male energy is so strong, I do not see any limitation that is imposed on account of gender. So I find myself pushing for things that are not defined by my gender. And you naturally would find a situation where someone has to remind you that you're a woman. And naturally, every woman has had to face that level of bias at one time or the other. A very simple example is this one where I'm currently running. They can't understand why a woman of my age would vie for a position. For me, I look at it, I didn't even understand the size and the bigness, let me use that word.
The magnitude.
The bigness of the office, and I'm like, because of the size of my dream, that is like the lowest rung of the ladder for me. And people want to challenge you and say, why would you even start that high? I do not think any man has ever been told you should start somewhere. But this is some of the biases that we have to contend and deal with as a woman vying for office. Just the way people mock that young lady, Khadija. The only reason she's under that heat, if it was a man, trust me, they won't look at her crazy. It's pretty much because she's a woman. They're looking at the fact that she's a woman. They're looking at the fact that she's a young woman. We're used to old people holding offices. We're used to old people or old men driving novel ideas. When a woman steps up to the plate and throws her heart in the ring, like the way I have this one on now, they start to challenge you and start to say, how dare you think you can do that? And you don't even hear them. Sometimes they're not as verbal about it, but you can see it in the remarks.
Of course, body language.
Someone is going to ask you, oh, you've told us everything about you. You didn't tell us whether you're married.
Whether you have your husband. In fact, you know what? Calm down. We're coming back to that conversation. Let's just quickly rush through what we found in the news, because it's a big deal.
It is.
Like, after everything I've said, the next thing you just ask me, are you married? Like,
do you understand?
Is that supposed to be an achievement?
Define a job interview? So a friend of mine went for a job interview. She had gone through the first stage, second stage. Like, it was almost time for, like, oh, let's close. And then, oh, you're married. Do you plan having kids soon? And she was like, what does that have to do with the
my
job?
competence and the job?
I mean, you've had this interview, first level, second level, and then we've gotten to this stage, and you're asking me when I plan to have it. I mean, I'm confused. What does that have to do with the job I'm bringing for you? So it's just like, it's...
Yes, like the other day we talked about the police women who were asked not to have kids.
Yeah, let's take our news. Let me start with you, Norma. Let's just quickly run through our news story.
All right, so my news story is still on International Women's Day, and it has it that Google announced 1 million funding tools for women entrepreneurs. So it says that Google on Tuesday today announced that Google.org was committing $1 million in charitable funds to support programs to help women entrepreneurs grow their businesses. And the head branch and Reputation Africa Google, Mojola Oluwa Aderemi Makinde, said that the funding was a part of a series of new initiatives aimed at supporting women-owned businesses. Makinde said that this is a virtual event to mark the International Women's Day, and it was tagged Know Her Name. According to her, research shows that 58% of small and medium-sized business entrepreneurs in Africa were women. Know Her Name is a virtual event that was organized by Google to project women entrepreneurs in commemoration of the International Women's Day for 2022, which was themed Breaking the Bias. The interesting thing in this story is that they have a lot of other initiatives that are coming up in addition to the funding announcement. They also announced #LookMeUp, a campaign to showcase women entrepreneurs and tell their stories. So some of the stories that are going to be featured are like Vivian Waka in Nigeria, who launched MedSaf, a farm supply chain solution to help Nigerians get access to quality pharmaceutical healthcare services. Mary Wange is the CEO and founder of Data Integrated, who is driving innovation in mobile payment sector in Nairobi, Kenya, and Moza Mize in South Africa, who launched Origins Publishers to provide her children, others like them, with books in their home languages. So this is a beautiful one.
Awesome, Google.
From
Thank
Google.
you. We love
Pushing
it.
and driving the narrative for women
Absolutely.
in this regard.
Absolutely.
amazing. Great.
Lara, your story quickly.
So my story is around the insecurities in Nigeria. I mean, I think it was yesterday, we heard about Bamishe that actually got on the BRT bus and she was later found dead. And so
Very disturbing.
one of the past Big Brother housemates, Chloe, she actually also shared an account of her own experience. And we got to realize that a lot of young people in Nigeria, in fact, not only young people, a lot of people in Nigeria are actually experiencing the issue with ride-hailing services.
Ride-hailing,
So, I mean,
yeah.
it's not so secure anymore because the name of, or rather the picture and the credentials of the actual driver is way different from the people that are actually coming to pick you. So, I mean, this news is actually needs everybody to actually be on alert. When you're hailing a ride, just make sure that the person that is coming to pick you is exactly the person on the app. And then you should also check for red signs, red flags rather, because I mean, if she didn't notice that the driver was being finicky, he didn't have a sound system, he had child lock on. I mean, there are a couple of things in the vehicle that made her feel like she wasn't safe, but she was still in the ride. So I mean, let's not just have like another sorry story, because it's really scary that you leave your house in the morning to go to wherever you're going, so you're not going to come back home, all because of the insecurities in Lagos or in Nigeria. It's super scary.
Yeah.
It's really disturbing, and I'm really hoping that the government actually comes to the aid of everybody, because I mean,
This is scary.
It's really
I
scary.
told the story yesterday for Bamishe, and it's sad. I mean, did you see the write-up I sent to the group? It was a long read, but it's so interesting how all of a sudden, in fact, there were so many allegations. So if the government, especially the governor of Lagos State, if he knows that he's actually, in this state to protect his city, he would come out and bring the full force of the law on the culprit, because now there are so many allegations. It seems like they are trying to protect him. No, so the write-up was the guy was looking haggard the first time they caught him and everything. All of a sudden he has a clean shave, granting an interview to a particular TV house and all of that. So they are suspecting foul play, and they're calling out the Inspector General to be the one to handle the case, because it seems like there's a compromise already in Lagos. Yes, because trying to protect, now the guy is feigning that he was roped into it, like he was ambushed and all of that. But they said at first when they had caught him, he said he admitted even to having carnal knowledge of the girl, before the demise and all of that. But all of a sudden he's now changing that he was ambushed. He was like, like he was maybe there was a gun to his head.
There's no
under
how
duress.
he can
So,
claim
like it's not possible.
innocence.
So that's what I'm saying,
Because there are a
that
lot
we
of
need
pointers
to
to
yes,
the
we
fact
need
that-
to be very clear so that you bring the full force of the law on this man. But let me take your story, Milola.
I was going to win, but I'll come back to that. What I have is about the House of Representatives reconsidering 3 women-related bill,
Okay.
and that is carried on by Guardian Nigeria, and it was released today that the Nigerian House of Representatives said it would reconsider 3 women-related bills voted down last week during the vote for amendment made to the 1999 Constitution. I find it very disturbing to hear the fact that they are reconsidering. I mean, come on. The bill on citizenship for foreigners married to Nigerian women did not make the 2/3 votes. The bill on indigenship for Nigerian women married to men from states other than theirs, and also the 35% affirmative action to allow women in power. All those 3 important. I mean, why will I take over a state of my husband and he cannot take my state? Why can my foreign husband be a citizen of Nigeria and I can be naturalized when I married? It just makes the obvious line more evident that women are supposed to be carried on as a possession, and they do not have an identity of their own. They do not have a say in how their life plays out. And it just goes to show how we're stereotyped. And really, it's good that they're reconsidering it. And if there's anything that I'm very passionate about as a woman, is to drive such bills. And beyond that, it's not just about, it's one thing for this bill to get passed. It's another thing for implementation to take effect. Particularly when we talk about the 35% affirmative. It simply means that for being a woman, if we look at you in the state and you're a woman, you've already crossed that Rubicon. That's a consideration. Then the next thing should be on the account of competence and character. And then consistency. But the fact that you're a woman gives you an edge automatically. It should have been non-negotiable. But then they're delaying passing that bill because then they have to be forced and they have to be compelled to make sure that they implement those bills. But let's see what the reconsideration bring forth, and we keep it going in spite of whether I pass it this reading or the next one. Yes.
All right, so my story is rather sad, very, very sad story. A Nigerian mother in tears after losing a 3-month-old baby to a mysterious death at a crèche.
Wow.
Now, this young lady needed to resume back to work, and the wise thing to do, now again, even with helps in the house, you need to really use prayer and fasting because you're not sure who you're putting in a home with your child. So she got a crèche near a home, dropped off a healthy baby, only to come back to meet a dead baby.
Wow.
And the crèche, they can't explain what happened. And it's really sad. Honestly speaking, these are part of why when we say that women, we need to have a lot of women, right, at the policy making level. This is why, because I think I have been a mother twice, and I know how I had to suspend my entire life.
Completely.
For 2 years.
For 2 years.
3
at least.
actually.
No, I'm saying 2 years per child. 2 years per child. In fact, I didn't get back myself until probably when they were like 5, 6, when they were fully independent and all of that. And I know the impact it's had on my kids. That fact that, but I had the luxury because there was somebody else to support financially. This woman had to go back to work, right? Because again, we're considering finances and so many things. At other climes, just for having a baby, the government pays you money that you should sit at home and take care of your baby. So these are the kind of laws. When we are talking politics, I mean, we're talking elections 2023. These are the kind of policies I want to be debating. Do you understand? Because the truth is, you don't understand the impact. Now, even if this child did not die, and the child is exposed to all sorts of nanny, that child becomes a menace to the society. We have a lot of adults that are just not, at their right senses because they're not functioning well because of the upbringing and all the so many things that they've been through. So this woman now is in tears. I don't even know how to console this kind of a woman. A 3-month-old baby, after you've gone through 9 months of pregnancy, you now have the child, and because you want to go back to work, you are not able to cater to your, you had to put the child in a crèche, and now you're coming back to meet a dead baby.
I feel like this story shouldn't be a closed conversation.
It can never be.
That crèche should have security cameras walking to 4.
Alero, the crèche on its own, they need to first of all shut it down.
Like knockdown is number 1.
Do you understand? They need to shut it down. Then there are some crèches that are not, and again, companies should start to pay attention to, so even if, okay, let's say this company now is small, there's no space, you can do a pool and say, okay, all the companies around, can we all come together and have a create, you can start to partner. You can start to partner, because if the company is the one in charge of those crèches, the mother can take breaks, go breastfeed, come back, check the baby. We should start to become human when we're dealing with things like this.
Just that part where you talk about nursing a child is one thing that is so... I remember when I had to go back to work, and this was 6 months. Then I was a civil servant, and civil servant gets 6 months. You can't imagine the pain when you're lactating, and you cannot see your child for a number of hours just because you are in the office, and you get engorged. It's a lot, and I think because men will never understand, and they will never understand because they're not women. It's really up to us as women to drive our own course.
Absolutely.
The more we talk about it, the more we push for more women in government, just like you talked about, the more we can be able to raise and amplify the voice of women struggling with responsibilities that should be shared. Because it's not fair that a woman gets pregnant, carries the pregnancy for the entire 9 months, go into the delivery room and go through severe, life-threatening pain just to come forth. Barely 3 months, you're expected to get back on the job because somebody else's business is going to suffer. And then you have to separate from your child and endure all that pain. It's just too much for us as women to go through.
Absolutely. We need to take a break, right? When we come back from the break, because today we are still discussing women matter. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
I'm very passionate about the matter.